Thank you for watching Morning Live. Now, although broad-based black economic empowerment has contributed to the significant growth of previously disadvantaged groups, government has admitted that the policy had been slow in achieving the transformation that it was intended to. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa made these remarks in Parliament last week, saying that government would not scrap the policy. However, according to the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Commission, the number of black business owners decreased from 33.5% to 27.8% between 2015 and 2017. So to discuss this further, we're joined by Duma Gqubule, who is the director of the Center for Economic Development and Transformation, as well as Mazvita Maradzika, executive director of Siyakha Capital Advisor, a BEE advisory firm. Thanks so much to both of you for coming through.
Thank you.
So let's get straight to the nub of the matter, Duma. Broad-based black economic empowerment and its intentions.
Okay, first of all, those figures that the Commission is quoting are actually not correct. Yeah. But anyway, so the first thing I want to say is that you cannot divorce the whole policy of BEE from the overall performance of our economy. Now, whichever way you slice the data over the past 25 years, we have disappointed as a country. If you look at from 1994 to 2018, in per capita terms, the economy has grown by only 30%. Now, if you look at today, we've got high levels of unemployment. We've got 10 million people who do not participate in the economy. The unemployment rate for black Africans is 42%. The unemployment rate for black African females is 46%. And the unemployment rate in the Eastern Cape is 48%. The poverty rate is very high in South Africa. In 2015, the last study that was done by Stats SA, the poverty rate for black Africans was a shocking 64%. And as you know, Sakina, we have the highest level of inequality in the world. We used to be second or third, but now we've got the highest. So the main problem that we're having, just to cut the story short, is that our economy has done nothing over the past 10 years. In per capita terms, our economy has grown by 0.2% a year. So we are now in the worst post-apartheid economic crisis. The economy is in a desperate situation, and we cannot use normal economic policy tools. We are in a situation of countries recovering from a war, and you can't just use normal monetary, fiscal, industrial policies. You have to do extraordinary measures to get your economy growing again.
So before I get to Mazvita, just on that point, the president very clear last week that, you know, that policy ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, but the policy hasn't worked. So if something doesn't work, you have to start again. So I was sympathetic to Musi Maimane when he says we have to scrap it, but I say we must start again for different reasons. Because let me give you an example. The government has, first of all, the president, that is the first time in 15, 18 months that he's had anything to say on BEE. I listened to all his sonas in his speech. So the BEE policy has sort of like disappeared, a slow death. And I think we're in the last... It's the last kicks of a dying horse. The government has messed up their own policy, if you understand what I'm saying.
So then the question becomes, what then would work? You know, what sort of policy direction should we be taking if indeed this triple BEE has not delivered the intended results that was envisioned by government, Mazvita?
Okay, thank you, Sakina. Look, to say that BEE has not worked and we should start again, you know, I think that would really be reinventing the wheel. If you look at the principle behind it, it's trying to improve economic empowerment in the hands of black people. If we look at the numbers, say, for example, and Duma has alluded to, you know, reports coming from the BEE Commission, but if you look at the reports, they've started a report on trends and status, and this year is the second year where it's running, and you'll actually find that there's more compliance, government entities and the private sector, and you actually have more JSE listed entities. So for example, you have 161 JSE listed entities reporting versus 121 in the past. You have 1,061 generic entities or large entities versus 871 now reporting on BEE. You've got 27 organs of state that are reporting on BEE and compliance versus 4 in the previous year. So I think we can't throw the baby out with the water. You know, it's a policy that works. The nice thing about this is we've got past experience. Since the inception of BEE, we've had a lot of transactions, we've had a lot of policy implementation that has gone through. And where you see the changes coming through now is people have learned from these experiences to say, okay, this didn't work. For example, under ownership transactions, you have the BEE Commission who's come out to say there's specific issues on SPV structures, on trust structures that we need to take into account to improve black ownership, right? And this is all coming from past experiences on past transactions and how they were structured before. Under skills development, there's various initiatives. Under enterprise and supply development, we also have we also bring in localization to improve black businesses and to develop your black SMEs. So the learnings of the past are allowing us to further refine the BEE codes. So I believe this is, as the President said, it is something that is moving, albeit at a slow pace, but we are making significant strides.
So what are those learnings? What have we learned from the failures that we've seen?
Okay, I'll give you an example. For example, in ownership transactions, we had the value based on only share price. You'll find that, for example, on listed entity, if I give you the Sasol and Zalo shares, that share price tanked, right? A lot of the BE shareholders who had borrowed money against that to pay for those shares found themselves in a precarious position. Currently now, with the new Sasol Kanyisa share, those same BE shareholders had the opportunity to now keep shares where they're receiving dividend and they can pay off a portion of the debt. So, and we see that as well in a lot of transactions, the most recent being the Barloworld transaction. It's not only based on shares, but it's actually based on property, something else with an appreciating value other than shares. So more and more, we are learning from those experiences to improve the BEE policy.
Well, are we seeing that, or do we need a new policy direction? We'll continue this conversation after the news break with Leanne, and talking about BEE and broad-based black economic empowerment. What should we do? What needs to be done at this stage, given the objective facts before us in terms of whether it has worked or not, depending on where you're coming from, listening to our guest this morning. So we'll continue this conversation, but for now, it's 8 o'clock. Let's get the latest news with Leanne.